Thank you, Ryan, for recommending this movie. So, Atlantis: The Lost Empire was a movie I never grew up with. I watched it when I was maybe 15, after my sister and I kept playing Disney's Seen It and getting the questions about Atlantis wrong. So we decided to watch this movie, and I thought, this ain't half bad. It's a solid Disney movie. When Ryan recommended this movie, I thought, there isn't a lot to say about this movie. I don't need to make a video about it. But then I thought about it and I was like, wait, what happened in this movie? I remember liking Milo, but then I played Seen It again with my mom and remembered every scene I remember from the movie was on Seen It. So I thought maybe I forgot about this movie. And safe to say I was correct. I mean, just to prove it, I watched the movie and wrote this script 2 days later, only to rewatch it to write this script because I actually forgot half of the movie in 2 days. I forgot nearly everything about this movie besides the bad guy, and that's about it. This movie is so confusing to me now and really needs a closer look. I'll start out by saying I love the voice actors in this movie. I think the voice actor for Milo really brought his A game for this one. I don't have any problems with the idea of this movie because Atlantis has been a sought-after place for centuries thanks to Plato. So this setup is really well done. The opening shot for Milo shows him in his element preparing to try and get money for funding for his Iceland adventure to find a book that leads him to Atlantis. We learn a lot about the character and Atlantis in the first act because they have a really good setup. I also like the idea that Milo's grandpa found the book for Milo, but wouldn't give it to Milo until the time is right. Great first act. The second act is where I start to lose interest. Milo is getting ready to go on his adventure and meets the crew. These introductions make sense to develop their relationships throughout the film. I thought where the film first stumbled is that they have too many characters. We have the bad guy, the bad girl, the black medic, the mechanic lady, the pissy grandma, the mole, explosion dude, and weird cook guy. The pissy grandma and weird cook guy are purely here for comedic effect, but have more screen time than the majority of these characters. I would have rather they cut this crew down by 2, preferably the annoying comedic effect people, and just mold them into these other characters. And it isn't like they don't have comedy without these people. Mole and the explosion dude are just created for laughs. The difficulty is that maybe 2 jokes landed the entire movie for me. Sure, I'm not the intended audience, but great children's movies are made for adults that kids can also enjoy. I'm looking at you, Ratatouille. The Leviathan is just here to show that they lost a few crew members and show Atlantis' technological advancement. Which, if I can interject here, I get it, okay? I get the point of it all, but when we really don't have enough stakes in the characters or their story yet to care if they die here or not is just a bit annoying. Sure, I like Milo, but I'm not gonna be sad if he fails his quest because we've seen him for about 20 minutes. This goes for other characters too, because we've seen them for maybe 4 minutes, and I care even less about them. So we have the classic second act montage of them on their adventure, and apparently they have a snowstorm underwater. I think the animators forgot what movie they were making in the middle of this. This part right here is one of the 2 jokes I actually laughed at.
It's gotta be half a mile high at least. It must have taken thousands of years to carve this thing.
Hey, look, I made a bridge. It only took me 10 seconds. 11 tops.
I never really understood the point of Explosion Guy and the Digging Guy. Couldn't the Digging Guy serve the same purpose as both of them? Also, what's the point of the blonde hair villain? I feel like she's incredibly pointless up until the very end. The story feels like it's trying to capitalize off of Indiana Jones' success, from its montage to its characters to its score. The main character is incredibly passionate about archaeology. They could destroy history to save themselves and others, but don't because they're passionate about it. It also feels like a bad version of Castle in the Sky. Atlantis just doesn't feel like an original idea, and doesn't improve on anything these movies did. Alright, so let's skip forwards to when they see Atlantis. Milo and Kida are talking, and this is probably one of the best scenes. This is where the movie starts to bring me back. These interactions between Milo and Kida are super entertaining. They both get to learn about the culture that has been lost, and you can see and hear their joy and excitement. Milo and Kida swim back to shore, and this happens.
You have a nice swim?
This twist is really well done. The motive of them coming here for money alone is built throughout the story. This isn't coming out of left field like Hans from Frozen 2. If you pay attention at all, you would have known that this guy was the villain. He says everything right until right here.
Mercenary. I prefer the term adventure capitalist.
This line is really good, but then like 4 minutes later, he contradicts himself by calling himself a mercenary instead of adventure capitalist, which he said.
I'd suggest you put a bandage on that bleeding heart of yours. It doesn't suit a mercenary.
Why not continue this lie that he tells himself to help himself sleep at night? Rourke thinks he's actually right. Not morally, but that this is how capitalism is designed to work. These people are just shit out of luck. I think Rourke is a really good bad guy to cheer against. It's not the most compelling motive, and he isn't the most conniving villain, but he serves a function and serves that well. You also see Doc start to question the morality of the entire operation when the king is punched, seeing that his quote-unquote sweetness may actually be more important than his greed. Now we see them go down into this underground cave for the gods' heads to suck up Kida and become her. Let's actually put a pin in this section because I want to come back to it. Okay, so Milo is here watching them take Kida, and then Rourke punches him? Like, literally all Milo did was help you, Rourke. He led you to Atlantis. He saved you from death. He saved you from not finding the thing. And in return, you punch him. Like, am I missing something? Why would he punch Milo here? Here's also where I need to get across my main gripe with this movie. The characters. What I don't get is why did this director and screenwriter forget to develop their characters at all? I actually have a picture from when Disney was working on this movie to show Milo's character arc, as well as all the other characters in the movie. Are you ready? Sorry, that was a bad joke. So, Milo is a great example. When we first meet Milo, he's preparing to talk to the museum heads to try and get funding for an adventure to Iceland to find a book leading him to Atlantis. We see that Milo is a bit clumsy and not the greatest public speaker, but he's incredibly meticulous and cares deeply about his work. Milo, when he finds his grandpa's friend, is still this dorky guy who loves the adventure just like his grandpa. When they leave on the ship, he's the same guy, messing up what he says, and not seeming like he belongs. See a commonality here? Okay, so when we get to the last part where Milo seems to be a part of the group, he's somewhat accepted, but it is because he's being his normal self, helping the group and being incredibly intelligent when it comes to ancient Atlantis culture and how to navigate, not actually fitting in. So Milo meets Kida and immediately she knows he's different, but she doesn't know why. She spares his life and then realizes he knows how to read Atlantean, which none of the citizens do. So Kida and Milo are out adventuring and he tries to be smooth and charming, but he's the same Milo with his mannerisms. Milo hasn't changed one bit throughout the movie, and has only started to become accepted for his knowledge and what he brings to the characters. Why was he accepted by this group? Because he can lead them to the power source to get them money that they wanted. Why was he accepted by Kida? Because he can bring back her way of life and save everyone. Milo doesn't change. The people accept him because of what he brings. This makes sense for Milo, because Milo shouldn't have to change for the people around him. But what doesn't make sense is that they tried to force a character arc for the other characters without actually fleshing it out. Kida never has a character arc. All of the side characters that I don't know the names for, they like tried to make them seem like, oh, we're more moral than we're made out to be. But they never really develop these ideas. So none of the characters feel like we're growing with them. It just kind of feels like we're just watching them be who they are. I don't know. The movie ends exactly what I expected. They had the villains fight each other, even though they have no tension, just to show that Rourke is still a shitbag, even though he already was throughout the entire movie. And then we see more technological magic to protect this city, and that's about it. I think the reason this movie isn't beloved is because it's really weird. I mean, Disney has made weirder movies. Beauty and the Beast comes to mind. What they do in Beauty and the Beast way better, as well as many other things, is explain the oddities to us. Atlantis explains about half the information, and then just doesn't explain the rest, writing it off as magic technology. It's like playing Madden for the first time, and your friend, who owns it, tries to explain the controls to you, but only tells you how to snap it and throw it. Doesn't tell you how to sprint, doesn't tell you how to move, doesn't tell you how to audible, and so many others. I would know. I suck at explaining controls and rules because I forgot that they know nothing. I just skip over the quote-unquote obvious controls, and then when the person tries to spin move and doesn't know how to, I say, oh yeah, spin is circle, after the fact. That's what Atlantis does. What happened with Atlantis? Oh yeah, the gods consumed Kita's mother. Wait, why? Oh, because it wanted to protect itself? Oh, yeah. Wait, how does that help? Shut up, they're stealing the MacGuffin that lures out the main characters back to the villains. This is why I think the movie is so forgetful. They don't explain what's going on. So you're confused throughout the entire movie and kind of creeped out. The characters aren't memorable enough to have me enjoy the movie. I end the movie just kind of disappointed and then forget it again and again. That's why I literally wrote this script with the movie open on my other monitor, because I constantly forgot whether it was explained or not. The movie is laughably mediocre and just leaves me with the worst taste in my mouth than Sinbad. Sinbad was so incredibly awful that I would actively choose to watch it again to shit on it some more. Atlantis is so forgetful and so mediocre that I would never think to watch it again. If they took the time to explain things before they happen, the plot would be more compelling. If I don't know the point of something until after the fact, what makes me care about the situation? What makes me think that they have hope at the end if you never had Kita say these robots are magic protectors? Let's pause here real quick. Now, I forgot that they showed the robots protecting the city at the beginning, but this brings up a new problem with that itself. The rule of threes is brought into play here. Essentially, the rule of threes consists of a setup, reminder, and payoff. This is so the audience keeps track of concepts and ideas the characters in the movie would know, but we, the audience, might not remember. A good example of this is from Star Wars. The setup is Obi-Wan showing us and Luke the lightsaber. We don't truly understand its power and capability. The reminder is Obi-Wan using the lightsaber in the cantina to protect Luke and kill the men, conveying more information about the lightsaber and the power of it. The payoff is Obi-Wan and Vader's lightsaber fight, leading ultimately to Obi-Wan's demise. This is a great example because we get the setup, reminder, and payoff. If we had Obi-Wan show Luke the lightsaber in Act 1, and then remove the reminder and just skip to Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fighting, yeah, sure, the movie is iconic so people would remember the very memorable sound design and unique idea, but the reason I bring this up is because it has the setup of the robot saving the city in Atlantis, and then besides very minimally not focusing in on it, the robots don't show up until the very end of the movie when the stakes are at the highest. Both movies have the stakes at their highest where death is on the line, but Star Wars works better because it shows the power of the key object that matters in the ending. Alright, back to the old me. What makes me think everything will be okay like Kita said if I don't know what the actual hell is happening, and then we realize later that everything is not going to be okay? Is Atlantis bad? I mean, I guess no, but it isn't good. At the end of the day, it leaves me with a feeling of meh, shrug of the shoulder suggestion. It isn't good, it isn't bad, it isn't anything worth watching. It is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think of this movie? Let me know in the comments down below. I had a very hard time trying to articulate what I wanted to say about this movie, so I hope this made sense to you guys. I always love to hear movie suggestions and what I could do better in these videos. Please share, subscribe to help me get my videos recommended. A like or dislike would always be great, and I'll see you guys in the next one.